Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the last session of Redis Day Bangalore. So what we are going to talk about is how do we leverage Redis and Redis Search in particular to power high throughput geospatial queries at Bounce. So before we begin, a short introduction about myself. I am Pushkar, and with me I have Ronil, and he would be walking through the presentation. Just a show of hands, how many of you have used Bounce, the yellow scooters that you see on the road? Yeah, quite a few. So for those who have not used Bounce or are from outside Bangalore, I will just walk you through what Bounce is. So we are a mobility startup providing dockless scooter sharing. So what dockless means is you open your app, find scooters nearby, pick up a scooter, unlock your scooter through your phone, and drop at any legal parking space near your home. The word legal is very important. So a few numbers. So we have completed more than 20 million trips. We have a fleet size of more than 25,000 scooters, more than 100 million kilometers traveled, and more than 3 million active users. So as we see that commute is a very huge problem, and we are growing at a rapid scale. So we have grown over 10x in the last 10 months. So let's jump to the problem statement. So if you open the app, the main problem statement we encounter is find the best scooters according to the user nearby. So the first thing is we need to find scooters nearby. And second is we need to match scooters according to the preference of the user. So we have a variety of fleet. We have electric scooters, we have different models, and then we apply different filters to match different bikes to users. And since this is the opening screen, we need this to be a very low latency and highly accurate. We do not want a user walking to a scooter and not finding it at the location. So we need a low latency and a highly accurate API. So how have been we doing this? So we use Postgres for storing all our data, and Postgres comes with an extension called PostGIS, which helps you with geospatial queries. So using PostGIS is very easy. You give a lat long, long lat. So that's a huge confusion that has happened. So PostGIS extensions take long lat. So you give a longitude, latitude pair, give a radius, and just say that give me all the records in this radius. And this is how we have been working over the last 1 year. But there are a few challenges with the current implementation. First of all, we are a very write-heavy system. So at current, we receive around 4,000 location updates per second. And in addition to this, we also receive around 3,000 to 4,000 other sensor updates. For example, we have a fuel sensor, helmet sensor, and all these have a very high write rate. And we are currently at 1,000 listings per second. And as we said that we have grown 10x over the last 10 months, we believe this number will also go up as we scale to other cities, we add more scooters. So we need to be ready for the future. So out of the box, Postgres offers you a vertical scaling, but we are already on a very large instance of Postgres, and to keep on scaling it is a headache for DevOps as well as for the platform team. So what are the approaches we evaluated so that we can be ready for the future? The first one, as we mentioned, is Postgres scaling. Second, a very common search use case is Elasticsearch, and the third is the Redis search. So the most easiest would have been to go ahead and scale Postgres. But why didn't we go ahead with it? So as I earlier mentioned, that we already are on a very large instance of Postgres. And the second thing was that our bike record was not very suitable for a relational database. We have new sensors coming up every day. The scheme of the bike and parameters are changing every day. So we wanted to move to a document-based storage or a NoSQL-based storage. So the next we evaluated was Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch has been in the industry for long. A lot of companies use it for search. And we benchmarked it to 1 lakh records, and we were able to get a very high throughput to it. But this was the time when we heard of Redis Search. And we read documents benchmarking Redis Search to Elasticsearch and found out that it is much faster. So why we chose Redis Search? So Bounce currently uses Redis very heavily. We use it as a caching layer. We use it for a PubSub mechanism. Our AB framework is also powered through Redis. So there is a lot of domain knowledge already in the team. And so Redis, and when we read about Redis Search and the results, it suited us perfectly for filtering and geospatial queries. So what is Redis Search? I think that has been covered in the morning session, so I will just repeat it. So it has full text search, filtering, and geo-filtering capabilities powered by Redis. It uses an inverted index to give you results faster. So as I mentioned first, the primary use case of our listing is to list bikes nearby to the users. So there are two ways we could have done it. First was use Redis GeoIndex, and second is a concept called geohashes. So we ran tests with high reads, high writes to come up with an approach which we should take. And we found out the second approach worked well for us, and Ronil will be walking you through the tests and why did we choose the second approach. So I will just walk you through the two approaches. What is GeoIndex? So GeoIndex is based on a command called georadius of Redis, which is similar to PostGIS extension I was talking about. You give a lat long, and you say like, return me records in this distance, and it returns your distance. For example, in this query, we can say, I say FT search in bike from this location. These are the filters, for example, is live true, active true, battery level this, fuel level this, and give me 100 records nearest to this. So we get the records. Second is a geohash. So geohash is nothing but another representation of a location. For example, a location in a coordinate geometry can be represented by lat long. So geohash is another representation of a location, which is a string-based location. So geohash is a 12-character string-based location, and with each character defines a level of accuracy. To better explain, we have a video also, I think. I hope the internet supports it. Yeah. So you can see, like, with each character, you get a higher level of accuracy. So for example, if you have a geohash of a location till, I say 6 digits. So 6 digits means it's a rectangle of 1.2 kilometer into 600 meters. And if you have the exact 12 meters, you are almost as accurate to a lat long. So this video is just explaining how with each character you add to the geohash, you get a more accurate location. So as I mentioned earlier, on running the test, we found the second query using geohashes to be faster. And one more reason for using geohash was it allowed us to do aggregation. For example, I want to analyze price in an area. So the traditional approach has been using geofences or something. But now we have a common vocabulary across the company. Like we can talk in terms of geohash, that in this geohash, this is the pricing. In this geohash, this is the demand. So geohash gave us an aggregation level, or so we can decrease the accuracy of the geohash. Like we have a 5-digit geohash and say like X by Y kilometer, this is the radius, this is the demand, this is the pricing. So this allowed us to also have easier aggregation. I think now Ronnie will walk us through the tests we did.
Thank you, Pushkar. I'll be basically giving you an overview on what kind of tests that we ran, the schemas that we experimented with, and the final implementation that we guys went ahead with. So basically, we brought out all the bike data that was relevant to listing and put it into a document into Redis search. We, as Pushkar said, we went ahead with a geo-hashing approach as compared to using a native geo-index for Redis search. And all other filters were defined as tag types. I'll tell you the why about everything in the coming slides. Can I have the next slide, please? Can I have the next slide? Yeah. This is kind of all the tests that we ran. So these are kind of a permutation. The tests were framed based on permutation combination of basically three factors that we took. First was, as I mentioned, it was geo-index versus geo-hash. Second was versus a full text versus a tag data type. These are data types that are available with Redis search. And the third, which we stumbled upon, was whether we need to index lat long or whether we can mark it as no index. So all the queries, all the tests that we ran are based on these parameters, and we evaluated the best approach using a combination of these. I'll be presenting the tests now. So as you can see, the first is a geo query, not very encouraging results. So here, the location part of it is indexed as a geo query, and the rest of the filters are defined as full text. In the second case, the only parameter that is changing is a geohash. So we can see certain improvements in the tests that have happened. And in the third case, we went ahead and used geohash and used it as a tag feed. So I guess we see much more encouraging numbers. Still, but like these numbers don't kind of build confidence. We know Redis is able to do a lot better. So we tried to dig deep as to what was causing the problem. One thing we kind of got to know was there's a huge explosion in the key space, whereas the number of documents are like 100K. So I just brief you, I missed it. We were running this test on a data set of 100K documents, which is very close to what we actually plan to use. And there were parallel reads and writes happening. So, for a fixed set of documents, the key space was keeping on, because the tests were running, a lot of updates happening, the key space was increasing. So we went ahead and debugged this. So the reason we found was yeah. So I just mentioned the reason in a while. So what we figured out was if we mark the lat and lon fields as no index, the key space reduces, and as well as the performance gives a boost. Like these are quite encouraging numbers. Yeah. So finally, using geohash, using lat long as no index, and using tag fields gave us the best results. I mean, like these are blazingly fast results and like quite workable use case. Yeah, so now I'll just talk about why, what we had observed. So basically, what we observed was when we marked latitude and longitude fields as no index, right? So those entries were not being added to the key space. That is the Redis search inverted index. So the reason being we were not directly querying on latitude and longitude. We don't need it to be searchable. We need only the geohash to be searchable. So if you look at the Redis search documentation, so how Redis search does updates is actually a delete and add, and also delete is kind of a soft delete. It does not actually remove the keys from the database, I mean the inverted index, but it just marks it as soft deleted. So eventually, if like a lot of updates happen, like bike location is like a frequently updating thing for us, it's more, I mean, on a larger magnitude than actual bikes coming in. So eventually, our index will comprise of a lot of garbage than actual data. So no point in indexing things which are not required. So yeah, marking them as no index actually helped us a lot with performance. Also, talking about tags is, in full text search, there are several things like term frequency are noted down, the element cursor, and like lots of metadata additionally is there, which are not there with tag fields, and we are just filtering, so we don't need all those full text capabilities. So we went ahead and used tags. Yeah, so now I'll walk you through the final implementation overview that we guys, I will walk you through the final implementation that we guys used. What we wanted to do, like this is a major offering by us, so we didn't want it to be like a full phased jump directly to a Redis-based service, so we did a phased migration. For that, we use CDC from, that's change data capture from Postgres to Redis. For that, we were using AWS DMS. The DMS stars were configured for certain relevant tables. The target was Kinesis stream, and then we had a EC2 application running that is consuming the Kinesis stream and putting the records to Redis search. So eventually, we plan to move all, the highly transient data completely to Redis. Yeah. So this is an overview of the schema. As you can see, we have marked the lat and lon fields as no index. We are using a geohash. We are querying on a geohash field, which is a precision up to 7. We are storing it at a precision of 7 and using an accuracy of 6 to query. Also, you can see there are several other filters defined as tag type. Yeah. So one of the caveats of using geohash is geohash is a rectangular structure. So if you take certain random points on the rectangle, all will have the same geohash. So if you are on a boundary of a rectangle, right, you might miss out. It's not an exact radial search. It might be like you're only covering the left or the downside of the points. So to give it an actual radial search manner, we also needed to consider the neighboring boxes. So that's why if you can see the query, we are not considering only a single geohash, but we are considering all its 8 neighbors as well. Yeah. So to conclude, I guess moving to Redis search has given encouraging signs, like the querying has become extremely fast. Also, it will help us reduce a lot of writes to Postgres. And the extensibility part of it also, like we move away from expensive joins. We can add more data easily and more filters as well. Yeah. Yeah, so the only drawbacks that we saw with this approach was there was no, distance-based sorting from Redis search side. I hope they come up with a solution for this soon, or probably, yeah. Yeah, so that's it from my side. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.